Hey all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we are commenting on another BCP video. This is called NAACP demands Black athletes boycott SEC and Southern schools over Black Democrats getting wiped out. This is being uploaded May 19th. This is being recorded May 20th, and link is in the description.
It already talks about, can you do sort of targeted boycotting? I saw it going around virally, like Black athletes shouldn't be, going to SEC schools.
I've been on that one.
Is that real? You've been on that one?
I've been saying that one since Dobbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make your case. Make your case.
Well, actually, it started about abortion. I was just saying, like, I wonder if young women who are entering college, these are the time periods where they become more exploratory with their, relationship with sex.
You can say it. They're having sex, yes.
They're having sex, or they're going to start having sex and they're going to explore
YouTube, man.
Okay. Let me. I'm like, will they want to go to schools in red states? Like, as a pollster, I'm frequently studying public opinion. So I started asking those questions in my surveys and my focus groups. Like, does the Dobbs decision make you not want to go to Alabama? Right. And then that kind of morphed into me being like, these Black athletes should just stop going to SEC schools. Right. And so I don't think it's going to happen, but I've been on it from the perspective of it should happen.
Alright, so do you wonder what the EBT community is talking about today? Well, I took a look and I didn't like what I saw. Well, apparently they want all Black athletes to boycott the SEC. Now, while I'm an Ohio State Buckeye and I hate the SEC with all my heart, I need you to know I hate the SEC. I don't understand why anybody that's Black would go to a SEC school. It is not based on racism, the reason why I think. Now, they want to pull all Black athletes out the SEC and send them where? Ohio? All right, come on. Boycott the SEC is a horrible decision for any Black athlete, and I'm here to tell you, do not take advice from them. They're going to lead you down a path where you're going to miss out on a career, you're going to miss out on monetary gain, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff.
I'm going to be real with you, Black college athletes need to stop signing with schools in states that gerrymander districts to block Black representation.
But the fact of the matter is, they think these boys give a fuck about voting. These boys trying to make it to the league, man. They got their heads on right. Y'all can continue to fight for the dumb shit that y'all fight for. Nobody is taking your rights. But boycotting the SEC as a Big Ten fan and an Ohio State
Thank you.
Buckeye through and through, I'm all for it.
Boy. So we got to talk about more boohoo whining and crying from the EBT community.
Oh, look.
Who has been doing
It's
a whole lot
everyone's
of
favorite warmonger.
right? I feel like I've been making a ton of videos about the EBT community lately. But that's just how it goes, right? I'm pretty sure next month, being Pride Month, right, I'll be making a lot of videos about the LGBTQ community. So it just kind of moves in cycles, right? That's just kind of how it goes. These groups are always upset about something, right? So we got to talk about the Congressional Black Caucus, which, by the way, right, the Congressional Black Caucus, a segregated group of congressmen, right? So people in Congress who are segregated based off race are upset, along with NAACP, which is also a segregationist group as well, too. They're upset that they can't have Black-only districts. So the segregationists, the modern Klan, right, the Black Klansmen, Negro Klan, they're upset because the Republicans are getting rid of segregation in the South, right? The last remnants of segregation. The Republicans are getting rid of it by getting rid of these Black districts, and these people have been losing their minds for weeks. Why? Because it is existential to the power of the Democrat Party, right? This is what they're really upset about, okay? And we got to talk about their latest move here, which is to demand Black athletes boycott public colleges in states that are hostile to voting rights, okay? And I want to talk about this because this is something that is now being co-opted by the NAACP after individuals online, pro-blacks, called to boycott the SEC. More specifically, they're saying black athletes should not attend those schools, don't go to those schools in protest of the redistricting that is happening in the South. Take a look.
You know what?
Southeastern Conference.
A lot of people have been saying
Boycott in response to gutting voting rights amendment. SEC universities support Republican politicians who've stripped away voting districts to predominantly serve black voters while making billions in revenue from black athletes. 56% of all black Americans live in Confederate states, and as such, they deserve political representation.
this. This is right.
But you get political representation through your representatives. I don't
At
get
a
it.
time. SEC, the Southeastern Conference boycott in response to the gutting of the Voting Rights Amendment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't see the rest of the poster because your face is in the way.
SEC universities support Republican politicians who stripped away voting districts that predominantly serve black voters while making billions of revenue from black athletes. Say all that. 56% of all black Americans live in the Confederate.
Didn't they allow school athletes to be able to get like sponsorship deals? They get money too.
States, and as such, they deserve political representation. We are calling on all football, basketball, track and field, and other athletic programs to participate in this SEC athletics boycott. A weekly boycott of all nationally televised SEC games. I could do that. I don't have to watch their games. All current black athletes to transfer, ooh, lordy, from every SEC school, and for athletes to decommit.
What if they don't get accepted in another school? What if they leave and go to reapply and they don't get in? You want them to jeopardize their futures as athletes to satisfy your political vendetta against Republicans, against white people more specifically.
From SEC schools. You know what? I support this. Voting rights and representation are the most fundamental rights for all Americans, and black voters deserve the same rights as all other Americans. And here are the schools.
All other Americans, like Somali Americans in Minnesota, don't have their own specific representation in the federal government. Why do you think that black people in the South deserve the same rights as all other Americans means that you get your own specific districts that represent you, but other races don't get their own specific districts that represent them?
Alabama, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Auburn, Missouri,
Why?
Florida.
Why do you need someone in there that represents you? This is the whole point of like writing into your congressman, is letting them know that as someone who represents them, this is how you want them to vote. This is the whole idea of lobbying.
Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, man, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt.
Our athletes, our voices, our vote, our future. Boycott, transfer, decommit, demand justice. Running away is not demanding justice.
What is that? I missed one down there. One of those Florida teams, I guess. Our athletes, our voices. You know what? This is it.
What does only the black people leaving do? If wouldn't all those places just get replaced by white people and they would just keep playing? What does black people boycotting it do? How would you do, like, I don't know anything about anything. I don't. How would if you had to fight if you had to play against one of these schools? What would happen? Would you just not
Hey,
go?
you
Would
know
you just
what?
forfeit?
Share
I
this.
don't.
Share this, because why should those schools who are run and operated by Republicans who support the Republicans who have stolen voting representation from black voters all across the South, the SEC, the Confederate states, why should they still make billions? And people have been saying this for years. And these black athletes, you have power. Use that power. They don't want you to vote. If they don't
Yeah,
want
destroy your futures. Don't play basketball anymore because this guy told you to. This guy who isn't an athlete told you
you
to.
to vote, you should be willing to make them money. The SEC needs to pay a price for what they're doing
Do you know what you should really do? You should do whatever you want. You shouldn't listen to this guy who's going to tell you what to do.
to black citizens, black athletes, black families, black neighborhoods, black businesses, everybody across the South.
So lately, I've been seeing a lot of people suggest that in response to the Supreme Court dismantling the Voting Rights Act and these southern states gerrymandering and diluting the black vote, that these young black football players, and more specifically the top recruits, should decide to not play football and put their body on the line for these schools
I don't even
located
know
in the
what
South,
sport we're
such as
talking
Georgia,
about.
Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Texas A&M, etc. And
The
I
point
agree,
still
but my thing,
stands. You should do whatever you want. If you feel like this is some horrendous injustice and you want to leave, then you should leave. You should feel comfortable to leave. If you don't think that this is an issue and you don't care and you want to continue to play, then you should do that.
with that is this: that's easy to say for the top recruits
And you shouldn't shame the people who refuse to boycott just because they aren't on your side.
because they get multiple offers. Yeah, they can go to Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, etc. But what about the thousands of other black boys who not a starter, who not a top recruit, but because they're on a team in some form or fashion, they getting a partial or full ride scholarship, bro? A lot of people tend not to understand that this is most likely one of the only ways that these young black boys can get a quality education. They understand that if
And they want them to just throw it away. That's ridiculous. That's absolute
I'm not a
nonsense.
starter, if I'm not, a top recruit, that this is my only way to get a degree. So are we just expecting them to stay there and put their bodies on the line once the top recruits leave? Are we just going to leave them to hang out and dry? How is we as a community going to come together and supplement their education? Are we going to help them get into an HBCU and make sure they have a scholarship to match? And then we sit here talking about 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old black boys making this sacrifice when you got professional athletes right around the corner making tens of millions of dollars, dog. You got the New Orleans Saints, the Tennessee Titans, the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, why aren't we holding these professional athletes accountable? And if they don't want to be held accountable, why aren't we suggesting as adults we not going to go to these games? You know what I'm saying? And then the other thing is you got these black artists and then comedians doing these tour dates. Why aren't we requesting that they cancel their tour dates in these cities located in these states? And then the ironic thing about this conversation was it's originally a white woman who made this video, and it's like, okay,
Well, what's even more ridiculous is AOC just the other day made that not had that I don't even know what it was. I don't even know what she was doing. Said that they were gonna pull up on the South. Doesn't that mean that they're going to go down there? How can you say that you're now going to boycott going down there when she said that she was going to go down there? There's no unity. You all just say whatever you want.
yeah, you may have a point, but number one, we've been having this conversation in the black community for years, number one. And number two, why are you sitting here making suggestions about the sacrifices young black boys need to make when y'all the ones that are the main ones attending these universities? Why aren't y'all talking about how y'all not gonna go to games? Why aren't y'all talking about how y'all not gonna let y'all kids enroll into these schools? Why aren't y'all talking about telling your friends and family members to no longer donate to these organizations and these institutions? You know what I'm saying? And that's my fucking problem with white people. Y'all always got a way to suggest what black people need to do, but y'all never talking about how y'all can step up to the plate. For a year and a half, y'all been sitting here capping, talking about we stand with you, we understand all this extra shit, y'all allies. But the minute y'all get an opportunity to show up and show out, the first thing y'all do
In Democrat states. Isn't
is
that
offer
odd?
up young black boys for sacrifice. And that's what I'm not fucking with.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, buddy. It ain't just the whites, right? It really ain't the whites that are calling for black athletes to boycott these southern schools. It's the blacks, right? It's the NAACP. It's the Congressional Black Caucus. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the leader of the NAACP demand that black athletes do not go to southern colleges.
In this moment when black representation is under attack, it is important for the CBC to keep in their tradition of being the moral of the Congress, but the moral of conscience of this country. No representation, no revenue, no one black should be on a playing field of institutions that's living off of our labor, and yet in states that are seeking to reinstitute a sharecropping reality. It is not the responsibility of black America to hold in
Did you seriously just equate playing a sport to being a sharecropper?
individuals who should know better accountable for doing better. As soon as the United States Congress stand united to ensure our Constitution represent all of us, we will be a better nation as a result. The NAACP this morning, in solidarity with the CBC, we are calling on athletes who are coming out of high school not to attend any state-funded schools of states that have moved to minimize our right to vote, to minimize our ability to elect candidates of our choice. And
I mean, Republicans could just as easily do this and be like places in Democrat states that have gerrymandered their maps against white people, which means, or against Republicans, which means that there's no white representation. They could just tell all those people to boycott and just pull out of those universities. If you really want to play this game where you constantly just make up these random nonsense plays, well, they can do them too.
To create a sharecropping reality, whether that state be
And
Missouri.
This is going to be the drinking game where every time he says sharecropper, because you know that's going to be the word he's going to like to say a lot, you take a shot. He said it twice now.
South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, or Florida. 55% of all African Americans live in the former Confederate South. But the 55% of us who live in the former Confederate South, we will not tolerate a Confederate mentality on our labor, on our ability to contribute, and our ability to be to have representation. In this moment, our democracy is in crisis. This is not about partisanship.
Your democracy has been in crisis since Biden. You need to stop.
This is about true representation. And for the NAACP, we will fight with all we have in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus to ensure that we have representation, or if we don't, we will withhold the talent that plays.
No, you aren't going to do anything. The only people that can choose to withhold their talent are the people who are going to be playing the games. You can't do anything. The only thing that you can do is sit here on the sidelines and dictate what all of the rest of them do. like what you are.
Football field or on the basketball court, be the men or female in this moment. I want to thank the caucus for standing strong. With the NAACP, we are in this fight and we're not going anywhere.
All right. Wow, these people are so stupid, right? These people are so stupid. So I just want you guys to understand how dumb and not well thought out this is. Okay, this is not.
I mean, these are obviously representatives. These are obviously adults. But this guy isn't. I don't know if this guy is. I don't know if this guy is. I assume these are players. I don't know who these people are. Have they signed on to this program? Are they going to leave these universities? Are they players? I have no idea.
For so many reasons. First and foremost,
there's also one token white woman, of course,
that he is demanding all black athletes boycott publicly funded universities. in the South.
I don't know.
Redistricting.
I don't know.
Now,
I don't know why that's funny.
the problem with
It
this is
just
that
is.
does that also mean HBCUs as well? A lot of whom are in the South and they are publicly funded. Does that mean HBCUs as well too? Because that's what it sounds like, right? That's what it sounds like. And I'll take the step.
No, I mean, like, yes, take all of these black, potentially Democrat voting players and move them to northern red states. Please, by all means.
Further. Let's say these athletes actually did this, which they won't, right? They're not
What a wonderful idea. Who would have predicted? Yes, mass migration out of blue states.
going
Do
to.
it.
They're not
Go.
stupid, right? They're not going to. But even if they actually did, all Republicans got to do
Hey,
is just defund.
You're losing representation. Go up to the north. Get more representation. It's a win-win. Everyone
every
wins.
HBCU in the
It's a
South.
win-win-win.
That's all they got to do. Just defund them. And let's be honest, a lot of them should be defunded anyways because they don't produce any research. The students don't graduate with degrees that can actually get them real jobs. The quality of education is not great as well too. A lot of these HBCUs should be defunded anyways, right? To be honest, and that's not an HBCU thing. I feel like at least half of the colleges and universities in this country should be defunded or shut down, right? Because we honestly just don't need them, especially moving forward into the future. We really do not need as many colleges and universities as we got right now. Okay, a lot of them don't produce a damn thing. Okay, a lot of HBCUs don't produce a damn thing.
Why is that, though? Because you want competition. So what is it about these smaller universities that's causing the lower turnout that isn't happening at other universities? Is it stricter standards?
So all I'm saying
Is it lower
is that
standards?
all they got to do, all Republicans got to do, just shut all this down.
Is it the teachers are bad and the school doesn't really have any standards?
It's just
I don't
defund
know.
all the HBCUs in the South. I guarantee you that these people will be begging for mercy, right? They'll be begging for mercy. So they don't really hold cards. This is just desperation. But could you imagine? I mean, seriously, could you imagine as a young black athlete making sacrifices like that on behalf of the Democrat Party? That's the thing about these pro-blacks. Why do these pro-blacks always demand that black people, who have nothing to do with politics, by the way, make a political statement on behalf of the Democrat Party?
Because being black is synonymous with being a Democrat.
Any black athlete making that type of sacrifice on behalf of Democrats, you don't deserve to go to the league, right? You don't deserve to go to an Alabama or Clemson or Florida, or Florida State, any of these schools, right? Georgia, Louisiana, right? You don't deserve to go to any of these big schools, these great schools. You don't deserve to go to any. If you're like, hey, I'm gonna go to bum F Boston College, right? Or something like that for football, because you want to make a statement on behalf of Democrats, yeah, you don't deserve to go to the league, right? You're very dumb, okay? They're not going to make that sacrifice. It's not happening. I just feel like it's weird to ask young men to make that sacrifice for Democrats. Seriously, right? Because it's not for black folks. Let's be real.
Well,
This is
see,
not on behalf.
but that's the bait and switch. Is they say that it's for black people. You hear them say it. It's black representation. They're losing black representation. But it isn't black representation. It's Democrat representation. It's black representation. It's Democrat representation disguised as black representation.
For black people, this is behalf of the Democrat
It's
Party. The only thing these
it's being a trans Democrat.
people are fighting
Somehow.
for, they're fighting for the right to have a Democrat representative. That's it. That's it. That's it. They're supposed to be against segregation, but they're literally fighting for segregation. But they're currently fighting for segregation because it benefits the Democrat Party. And again, it's not about black people, right? Because the Congressional Black Caucus doesn't allow black conservatives or black Republicans into the caucus, right? So that should tell you everything you need to know in regards to what this is really about. It's not about black folks. It's literally about Democrats. That's it. They're asking young black athletes to make a major sacrifice on behalf of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Politics.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, let's react to Jemele Hill, who is basically a white woman at this point, right? She's cosplaying as a white woman. Let's listen to her reaction to this, because she knows, and all the people watching her show, her 20 fans, right? They also
She
know
certainly does have a lot of other people's ideas floating around in her mind.
this ain't gonna work.
And so even now, in talking to people, because
We didn't even have good leadership for the Target boycott.
we have it in our mind. We've been raised on this idea, and this is not a novel concept, that if we just make enough money, if we just follow this pathway to the American dream, that will protect us from having to deal with the inconvenience of racism, institutionalized racism and oppression. And what we have all found out.
It will. Look at that whites-only community. They govern themselves. They don't have to deal with any of the systems that you sit here and say hold you back and oppress you. And yet you continue to exist in those systems.
Is that on an individual level that may work, but collectively it does not work.
Who gives a damn about the collective, right? What type of social?
Well, it shouldn't be based on race. Democrats should have their just the people should be represented. Like, even having like party representation to a degree is sort of silly.
As nonsense it is. It's all about the individual, right? Like, I mean, seriously. As a black person, if I am not individually being held back, right? And as an individual, I can succeed and achieve the American dream, then what that says is that the so-called systemic racism apparently is not so bad that the American dream can't be achieved, right? Who gives a damn about a few roadblocks, right? About experiencing some microaggressions if you have achieved the American dream, right? I don't know if Jemele Hill or any of these pro-blacks understand that racism is not the only form of adversity that people go through, right? Whether you white, black, Latino, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, you're going to go through trials and tribulations, right? There are going to be roadblocks. There's going to be adversity for you to overcome, even if you achieve the American dream. Racism is not the only form of that, right? But achieving the American dream in and of itself, right, at the individual level, is a sign that the roadblocks are not holding you back, right? They're not holding you back. They're not holding anybody back. So yeah, for the most part, what I care about is the individual, right?
You shouldn't have to have the government bail you out. Emergencies, catastrophes, natural disasters, like, yes, there are reasons to have reserves in case things happen so that you can respond to the things when they happen.
Can the individual achieve? If the individual can achieve, then we're good, right? We're good. I don't care about the collective. The collective is dumb, right? So I'm just saying, like, you know, I mean, this whole collective talk, this whole nonsense, like, this is...
Who controls the collective? I think we have 50 states with each of their own government structures. Why doesn't Zohran Mamdani control the politics of California? He has just as much power, doesn't he? He's in a position of authority. He's in a position of government. Why shouldn't he be able to go to California and say, hey, you should do this, and have them do it?
This is garbage. This is garbage. At the end of the day, everybody should be voting in their own individual best interest, right? Not in the interest of a collective based off race and skin color and identity politics. at the individual level is how people should vote. Okay, but
No,
that
because maybe on an individual level, they hold those things in some regard. In which case, if you feel strongly enough, then you
type of
should. But
mentality
you shouldn't do it just because a whole bunch of angry people on the internet got mad and told you that you have to do this.
is a
You
threat
do what you
to
want.
the Democrat Party.
You're going to face people like this calling you names. They're going to call you a sellout. They're going to call you a fascist. They're going to say that you aren't black.
Black people voted individually for what's best for themselves, not as a black person, but just as an American, as an individual. Then a lot of them vote Democrat. That's the reality. A lot of black people vote Democrat because they just believe, well, I'm supposed to vote for what's best for black people, right? What's best for the collective. And that's just Marxist, communist nonsense that has plagued the black community when it comes to voting. And we got to
It's the reason that Stephen A. said for black people to all just go out and vote Republican. To break them out of that mindset that they have to vote Democrat or they can only vote Democrat.
change that. Everybody else votes based off their own individual interests. This is why every other group, demographic, racially speaking, this is why they don't vote 90% for Democrats. Because there's absolutely no way, if you're thinking as an individual, that 90% of a racial group is going to vote for one party. It's nonsensical.
Well, it's also the reason that, like, you can't expect black representation. It's not the way that the Fed works.
It's nonsensical. So, yeah, the collectivist stuff is just more Marxist nonsense.
So now you have a generation of young people who we have told, hey, here is the blueprint for if you want to be a success, you do this. You get a college scholarship, you go to that college, you get a degree, you make a good life, you make as much money as possible. You get the bag. And so now
So then, see, hold on. You make as much money as possible. Why? AOC said that people don't want to be billionaires. People don't want to make as much money as possible. As well as the fact that what if they make all this money, then they can give it back to the black community, right? They can help homelessness and poverty. Don't you want them to be wealthy so that you can take their wealth from them, so that you can give it to the less fortunate? I never understand. I never get it.
Conversation about sacrifice is going to be a lot harder to have in 2026 because we've been used to not facing any inconvenience. It's been a long time since we have. As a collective black community, it has been a very long time since we've had to look at inconveniencing ourselves. And many of you have brought up the Target boycott. Overall, I think it got great participation. It didn't stop everybody black from going to Target, but it made enough of a dent to where you could see the win and the possibility. Could that same thing happen now?
What even was the point of the Target boycott? Did they end up doing whatever it is that you wanted them to do, or did you just stop? What was the point of what even was the point of the Target boycott? I don't even know. I know they supposedly did it. I have no idea why.
And a lot of you are skeptical. A lot of you feel just like Saltesio. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is unrealistic. There's young cats and their parents that could care less about racial issues. And the unfortunate part about being a human being, and this is something that is not unique to 2026, but I think it's more pronounced because we're a consumer society, is that we don't
Most organisms are consumers.
and to
Yes.
understand what's on the line till it's either gone or so in our face and so on our doorstep, we can't ignore it. We have no choice but to act. And
You sitting here in front of your microphone and talking is not acting. So I don't know what you think is going to happen, but it isn't going to happen. Social pressure campaigns aren't about getting everyone I assume it's on board. It's about getting enough headlines, recruiting pressure, sponsor pressure, and public pressure, I imagine. No, it's not.
I would hate to see a scenario.
It may be during a point in time when we were trying to correct race relations. We don't care about that anymore. We have pretty thoroughly, staunchly divided into our camps.
Where it's going to take looking around Congress and seeing very few black faces for us to realize maybe we should have acted. I would hate to see that happen, but yet when you think about how human beings actually learn, they usually don't learn until it's gone, till it's too late for something to happen.
Who cares? Who cares how many black faces we see in Congress? Who gives a damn? I don't.
Because, like,
I don't care.
Recruiting pressure, sponsor pressure, all the black people leave. Fine. There's Asian people, there's white people. There are people to fill those positions. You aren't putting pressure on anything. And if you aren't getting all of them to do it,
There are plenty of black faces in Congress. We're only 13% of the population. How many faces do we need to see, right? I'm just saying.
how much representation is enough representation? Who decides these things?
Look, at the end of the day, you know,
You had the one map where their logic was, well, black people make up a third of the state's population, therefore they deserve a third of the representation. That makes absolutely no sense. That makes no sense.
This stuff, right? It's all about the Democrat Party. They try to pretend like it's about black folks. It's not. These people have been represented by Democrats for decades, and they live in a shithole. I think at the very least, it's time for them to get new representation, right? Maybe it's time for them to have somebody.
I feel bad because I don't mean to be mean. But just
represent them, okay? And maybe things will change, right? Maybe they'll get better outcomes. In fact, what actually happens, and see, this is what these people don't understand, and that's why I'm not one of these people that think that gerrymandering is going to lead to the end of the world, right? It's because I understand how it works, right? There's pros and cons to everything. What happens is in some of these red districts that were once, blue or whatever, like when you divide up a city like
it's politics. You have your platform, and then you tailor your message to the people who live in your district to try to get them on board with your idea. Whether you do it in a city, whether you've got a big block, doesn't matter.
Right? What happens is that those Republicans now have to become a lot more moderate. So, you're going to have Republicans win those districts, but they're going to have to be moderate. They're going to have to be more towards the center due to the fact that they have a group of people that they now represent that are more left-leaning, right? They're more left-leaning. So ultimately, it ends up balancing out in the end, right? And I think that this is an opportunity for people to get better representation, right? Clearly, the representation they had before was not working, but they don't want advancement for black folks, right? These people don't want advancement for black folks. They just want black people to till the Democrat plantation so that the overseers, right, the black overseers like Jamel Hill and the Roland Martins of the world and the NAACP and others, so that, they continue to get paid, right? They continue to keep their status, okay, within the party. And that's what it's about ultimately today. It's about Democrat power. Democrats help these people stay relevant, right? Without the Democrats, they wouldn't be relevant. Nobody would give a damn about Jamel Hill or Roland Martin or any of these people, right? So It's about upholding the Democrat power structure that ultimately is beneficial towards these people. It's not about the black people on the ground that are suffering. It's not about them at all. Because if it was about them, then maybe, just maybe, people would be asking questions about why is it that these people have been represented by a Democrat for years? Why has Memphis become a hellhole despite being represented by a Democrat for years?
Oh, why is someone who is not in university, who is not in one of these southern schools, why are they telling these people who are in these positions what to do?
He done? What has Steve Cohen?
You aren't going to do anything about this.
What has a Democrat done for Memphis? I can tell you what Trump has done, right? He's helped clean it up. The crime task force, Trump has done more for Memphis than any Democrat has done for that city since the civil rights era. Let's keep it 100, right? Let's keep it 100. But that's because of Republican leadership, being tough on crime, cleaning up the streets, which is great for black people, right? Mass incarceration, great for black folks. You get the criminals out of here. You let the law-abiding citizens, the positive contributors thrive, okay? That's how you help the black community. You don't help the black community by having them vote Democrat forever. No, that's the main problem. So they're going to get something different, and that's okay. They'll be fine. No black athlete that's actually smart is going to do this, right? They're not going to do this. Nobody's going to fold to this. This is not going to work. This is just them lashing out in desperation, begging black people to sacrifice themselves, to sacrifice your own.
No, they say it. That you have to harm yourself.
Individual achievement for the Democrat Party.
I don't know how you could listen to these people and either not be so self-hating that you just listen to everything that they say.
That's what they're doing here. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share.
Because I'm sure that there are some black people who will think that as black people, this is what you're supposed to do. If it feels right and it feels like something that you should be doing, then by all means do it. But if you don't feel like you want to, if you are comfortable where you are and you don't care about this, then don't do anything. You don't have to.